I'd like to start sometimes. Well, I also want to say we're going to record this, right? So we're going to record this. And for those of you who want to watch this later on, you can watch this. But I just want to say, yeah, how lovely it is just to see you and experience you. And there's some folks I know and some folks I don't. We're going to be talking about intimacy, but I'm also hoping we can kind of create some intimacy here, right here in this room. It's an intimate group, you know, how lovely and how appropriate, right? So, yeah. I'm just taking each of you in. Yeah. So, and this is kind of the edge, like how much can we let in? How much can we take in and allow in from each other, right? And how does it feel to let somebody else in, right? Is it safe? Is it scary? What's that process like? So, yeah. So what I'm going to invite us to do, I think, oh, wow. So we're going to go ahead and do a little meditation, right? So we're going to start with a little meditation just to ground and begin. So if you want, you can have your eyes open. If you prefer, your eyes can be closed. But just take a few deep breaths and just notice where you are today on this journey that you've been on. You're at the evolutionary festival. And how are you doing on your journey of evolution? Wherever you are in that, you've been on a lifelong, maybe many lifelong journey. Where have you traveled? What's been the highs, the lows? How have you birthed yourself into being? This ongoing process of coming into you. And who have you connected with along this way, and what have they taught you about you? Have you felt that thing we might call intimacy, this depth of contact with yourself, yeah, maybe with another person? What's that contact been like? Has it been good? Has it been sometimes maybe not as good? Have you had any relationships, connections that have felt healing for you? Have there been any moments where you felt, this helps bring me back to me, this connection? What's it like to feel connection for you? And can you imagine that, those connections just bringing you back into yourself, helping you to land inside your own being? just allow yourself to imagine that maybe today, this very special day that's just for you, that maybe on this day, you could learn how to connect a little bit more, maybe become closer a little bit more, maybe with yourself, these parts of yourself that maybe you've forgotten, maybe they could come home. Maybe today, on this day, maybe you could connect with others, find people again, and that they could help you come home also. And just being gentle with yourself, because this is sometimes tricky terrain. Saying thank you to yourself for showing up and being here, and welcoming yourself into the space, these tender parts that maybe have sometimes not always wanted to be here, to come forth. That's what it means to come back into our bodies, come back into our intimacy, come back to ourselves and each other. And in your own time, just allowing yourself to slowly, slowly land and return back to our shared space. Yeah, and allowing your eyes to come open if they were closed. Yeah. So good to see you. So good to have you here. I'll just let you know that I've got you on kind of gallery view, so it's lovely for me, so I can see you. It's yeah. Let me go ahead and put off the music. Yeah. And you're welcome to do that, since we're a nice intimate group. It's sometimes neat to see folks' faces. So well, I'm just kind of curious. Where do? Yeah, like well, first maybe where are folks coming in from? It's always kind of neat to know where folks are. So I'm just inviting you to type into the chat or speak out loud. So there's Hawaii, Berlin, Finland. Oh my goodness. Wow. All over. Yeah. Norway. A lot of Europeans. Okay. Wonderful. Yeah. Yeah. And so I just imagine these little kind of dots of light in each of those places connecting us, right? Yeah. And, you know, just in that meditation, there was this invitation to think about evolution and your evolutionary process. I'm just curious, like, where do folks feel like they are on their evolutionary journey? If you were going to rate yourself, right, like 0 being like completely unevolved, 10 being like the pinnacle of everything, where would you rate yourself with that? What would you, where would you score yourself? You know, maybe it's too complicated to put on into a number. I see some places just kind of thinking or pondering that. It's interesting just to think about, right? You know, yeah.
I'm
I
not
love.
sure if I fully understand the question, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Chris. Yeah. Well, I think at least the theme of the festival is evolution, right? And um, some people think that we're in a process of becoming who we're meant to be, of evolving into ourselves, of developing into all that we, like the life that we're given, right? So that's at least one of the themes, perhaps, of the evolutionary process, at least as I imagine, right? So the question might be like, yeah, do you feel like you are becoming all that you are meant to be? Do you think you're evolving into the highest version of you? Right. Yeah.
Aren't we all like exactly what we're meant to be in that given moment?
Yeah. Yes. Isn't that, yeah, what a great perspective. Like wherever you are, that's exactly where you're supposed to be. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe that's right. So you're exactly as you are. And sometimes there's this paradox, right? You are exactly where you're supposed to be. And then there's further and further sometimes to go. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, on the premise that you're exactly where you're supposed to be, I'm going to assume that you are exactly where you're supposed to be, and maybe this class and this group will help us land even further in our evolutionary kind of process. Okay, so there's some interesting concepts that I've thrown together into this talk. There's intimacy, and there's trauma, and there's embodiment, right? There's intimacy, trauma, and embodiment. And how many of you, well, let's see, how many of you feel like you understand kind of the world of trauma? Like okay, so there's a lot of folks who may not have a lot of depth of understanding of that. Okay. How many of you believe that maybe you have experienced some things that have felt a little bit traumatic in your life? Right? Yeah. So I see some. No, it's okay. So, okay. So that's everybody in some. Okay. Okay. And how many of you have felt like you've experienced some level of intimacy in your life? Some. Okay. Okay. Great. Okay. Great. Yeah. Thumbs up. Okay. So one of the ideas here is that sometimes these are different sides of the coin, right? That sometimes when we experience trauma, it's like parts of us feel like we're broken apart, right? That something in our world shatters, right? And we don't feel our own self-connection. We feel alienated from the world and each other, right? And one thing that intimacy can do is bring us back into wholeness, okay? So, so let's yeah, well, let's do a little. I like to use the whiteboard a little, so maybe we'll go ahead and yeah, talk a little bit about. So let's see. When the word trauma comes up, what ideas go along with that? And you can either speak that into the chat or say it out loud. What words come to you with the concept of trauma? Yeah. What arises with that concept?
Inflicted emotional pain.
Yeah, pain, absolutely. Inflicted emotional pain. Yeah, emotional pain, absolutely. Totally. Yeah. Emotional pain, disassociation. Right. Right. Sometimes when the pain is too great, right, we go into dissociation. So those can be related for sure. right? It's inflicted emotional pain that leads to dissociation, right? Yeah. So sometimes the concept is that it's too much, too fast, and too soon, right? There's too much happening. It's too fast, it's too soon, and it overwhelms us, right? And so the idea is that with trauma, right, if this is our level of activation, right, and we get too activated, it's too much, too fast, too soon, we go into dissociation, or it's emotional pain. It's up here. It's too intense, right? If this is sometimes our threshold, right? The threshold and our the capacity of what we can hold by ourselves, right? And once we get past this threshold, it becomes too much. Yeah, yeah. Lovely to see you. Lovely to see you, Ross. Yeah. Yeah. And so sometimes, yeah, that creates suffering. That creates suffering. And this is the domain of where trauma lives. Okay. And there's an interesting thing that happens during trauma, and this notion of dissociation occurred, is sometimes we become split off from ourselves, right? With dissociation, right? Like our mind and our body splits off, right? That there's a way in which kind of we sometimes don't feel our bodies anymore, right? That's dissociation. If we're going along and living our life and feeling decent about things, we can just go through life and feel connected to our bodies, right? But sometimes when an experience is too intense, we end up splitting off from our bodies, right? We split off from our own sense or capacity to feel, right? Does anybody does that make sense to folks, right? Like yeah, okay. Like if I'm going through life and things are relatively easy, I can feel myself as I'm living, and there's no problems. But sometimes if it's too much, too fast, too soon, I dissociate, right? Like I lose contact with my body. Now, if I'm with somebody and we're partners in whatever endeavor, sometimes we're trying to do something together, whatever that might be. Maybe it's take care of kids, maybe it's working on a project. Sometimes we can move through the project and feel together and connected in that, right? Like we're really connected and we're right there in it. But if it happens too much, too fast, too soon, we actually fracture off from each other and we lose connection with each other, right? So just like there's kind of a dissociation between myself and myself, right? That can happen when I'm individually overwhelmed. There can be a dissociation between myself and others, right? When we're together and it's too much, and instead of it feeling like connection, like they become the enemy, or I lose contact with them, right? Okay. So there's this ongoing process of losing and finding connection, losing and finding connection. Okay. This is an interesting, like it's interesting class and an interesting group. I'm wondering if we could all place ourselves on gallery view. Do you all already have yourselves on gallery view? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So place yourselves on gallery view if you haven't. Thank you, Taylor, for adjusting. Yeah. I just want you to see to what extent you feel connection here in the group, right? Do you feel connection as you look around? And where do you feel connection and where do you feel like disconnection? I see a little smile. Yeah, yeah, okay. And just allow yourself to feel the quality of the pipes, here, right? Where is there warmth and flow? And where is there kind of a lack of flow, right? Where do you feel connection? Yeah. And where is it too much, too fast, too soon, right? And you need to pull away. That's okay. That's okay. And so, yeah, you can practice having your eyes closed or your eyes open. You get to choose how much of us you take in, right? How much intimacy is healthy for you and how much is not, right? How much feels good and how much is too much. And I want to acknowledge it feels maybe like a simple exercise, but for many people, it's the simple and the most difficult, right? Yeah, I see some nods of recognition, right? That there's, because some of us have had connections that haven't been so smooth, right? And it can be, with caregivers, with relationships. And so sometimes it's easy or not so easy to connect. Right? So the notion is that if we've experienced trauma, maybe intimacy becomes harder, right? And the edges of where we can't connect, right, of where we don't connect, can sometimes be a little bit of a signpost into where our anxieties, fears, and maybe trauma might have historically lived, right? Okay. So just noticing that. So noticing that without kind of forcing or naming. Okay. So one of if yeah, and I'm just going to invite folks. What's it like for you to be in this soup right now, right? What's it feel like as you're here? What does it feel like as you're looking around and making contact with us? Yeah. Yeah. Does it feel safe? Does it feel scary? Does it feel warm? Does it feel exciting? Does it feel like ordinary? What's it like for you? You can unmute or you can type it in. I could share it like on my end, like I feel a little excitement and a buzz in my heart. I see Chris smiling. I feel happy. I see a couple other smiles. Laya smiling. Yeah. I feel happy. Yeah. So what's that like for you? Yeah, Taylor's typing, I can tell. Yeah, Suvi, please. Warm and flowing. Yeah, feel the love. Yeah.
I feel quite relaxed and even like dreamlike because of some physical tiredness, but actually it's just like a beautiful like state being relaxed. Yeah, and combined with the tiredness and somehow, yeah.
Wonderful.
So totally enjoying the new kind of state to attend.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a new kind of state, kind of a dreamlike kind of warm state. Right. Yeah. Great. Okay. Yeah. Curious about you, Chris. How are you feeling? What's going on for you? Okay.
Well, fascinated and curious about this type of connection, which is possible through Zoom nowadays. Like some time ago, we'd have never imagined that.
Yeah. Okay. So fascinated and curious. Okay.
So comfortable and warm.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay. So notice what that's like. Just to feel in that, because it feels like that's a theme, like relative to this particular group, like a warmth, loving kind of, maybe fascination, maybe dreamlike, and yeah, just acknowledging also, Stephen, your presence, and Ari Kirtan, Tanya's your presence as well. Thank you. Yeah, just appreciating, all y'all. So there's a little bit of what I would call like warmth and care and safety, right, in this space, right? So that's present, and how lovely that is. Okay, so it hasn't gotten scary yet, right? Because that's the other part of this kind of talk, like embodied intimacy, how connection heals trauma, and why it terrifies us too, right? Okay, because that's like when folks are just starting to get to know each other, sometimes there's this, lovely first meeting kind of warmth. And then as you get to know each other and the stakes kind of up a little bit and it becomes closer and closer and closer, it can get a little bit like the warmth is nice and you want more of it. And I'm going to get maybe a little closer, but then it can get scary, right? It can get a little scarier. So the idea here is like, okay, yeah, it gets scary because maybe relationship hasn't been so safe. Maybe closeness hasn't been so safe, right? Okay. And so there's that edge, okay? And so the idea here is, can we use connection to help us heal, right? Can we use connection to help us heal? All right. So there's this nice, lovely, lovely flow kind of that's kind of present, right? And I know that when I asked the question, has anybody here experienced trauma, right? That there was a lot of, it seemed like a lot of folks might have, right? And I'm just going to invite you to, you don't have to talk about the trauma, right? That can be a little bit too much, but I'm wondering what kind of messages you might have told yourself about yourself and who you are as a result of a traumatic or difficult experience. Yeah. What might you, because frequently, when we experience trauma, it's not just kind of the event, it's what we tell ourselves about who we are and what we are afterwards, right? The beliefs that stay with us and live on inside us, right? So, yeah, go ahead.
That I have to work hard and perform in order to be valuable, in order to be loved.
Yeah, thank you. You have to work hard and perform in order to be valuable and loved. I see some folks nodding their heads. Yeah, you have to work hard. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah. Anybody else? You don't have to share. It's okay. Yeah. It's okay too. Just notice. Yeah.
If I can share too, yes, I'm tech, so, but it's like I have to change who I am to belong to the group. And I have to change my behavior. I have to change my settings, maybe my dressing or something. So I belong to this group of people and I have to adapt somehow.
Yeah.
I'm maybe really not out. So.
Yeah, that you have to change who you are to belong to the group. Absolutely. Thank you, Azura. Yeah, you're welcome. Your voice is welcome here too. Yeah. Okay. So performing, needing to change. Yeah. Any others? Yeah.
Yes. And that I don't deserve to be loved.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You don't deserve to be loved.
Yeah.
Wow. so much sadness hearing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Thank you for,
yeah. Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for your vulnerability of your share. Yeah. Suvi, I saw you raise your hand. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I could still just say, instead of writing, just to say that even though some like wounds related to like my value are like now like better than previously, so it's a surprise to notice how much still the kind of concept that the like or the like untrue idea that like doing is a reflection of myself still is there present so strongly. So that's kind of surprising.
Yeah. Yeah. So even though you've done a lot of work right on yourself, like still like doing and performing is still just a large part of your value. You're similar to Chris, right? In that way, it seems like. Yeah. So there's some similarities there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So there's yeah, like so some different core beliefs, right, that are present, right, just from the trauma, right? Perhaps, yeah. And the invitation is, what if we could experiment? What might be the missing experience for you, right, from that old experience, right? This, like, okay, if it's like performing or doing is my value, right? What might you have needed then that you did not get, right? Or if the belief was I don't deserve to be loved, right? What would be the missing experience, right? That you wished you could have had or needed to have. And just think about that. Just feel into that. Right? If my value is just my doing or performing, right? Or if I don't deserve to be loved is the message I got, what would be the missing experience that you needed to get, that you should have gotten? Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. For whatever your core belief was, yeah. What was your missing moment, your missing? Yeah, Zero, your hand is raised. I'm not sure if you're...
Yes, I'm listening. Also, I'm not on camera, but I think be accepted as we were, to be accepted as we are, and not to feel judged, because I think sometimes you have more the thought that others will judge you, and they do not judge you sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
It's sometimes more the feel of like, oh, they are judging me, and that gives yourself insecurity, and yeah, and you don't have the feeling of, okay, I'm accepted like the way I am.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Taylor was kind of right along there with you, right? Just acceptance just the way you are. Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that might be part of the missing experience. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So here's the invitation. Okay. So let's see if we can, for those of you who are experiencing maybe a little bit of that kind of challenge, that old core belief, those things we tell ourselves about who we are, what we deserve or don't deserve. So let's see if we can give to each of us that experience, right? Because for example, with you, Azura, right? I'm just going to invite you because you mentioned, right? You feel like you have to kind of do or perform or be a certain way in order to be loved, right? So what would it be like just to hear the words, and typically, and maybe we could all do this as a group, because some of us share this as a theme, right? Just notice how you're feeling in your body right now. So how are you feeling in your body right now? Yeah. Your sensations, your body, your presence, your being. Just notice how you're feeling. Your breath, your ground. And then notice what it's like when you hear the sentence, "You're lovable just the way you are." You're lovable just the way you are. Yeah. So just allow that to drop in and notice what happens for you when you hear that. Right? What does that feel like? Yeah. Does anything arise, any emotion, any sensation, any imagery? Right? What's that like for you? Yeah, like
I really have a headache now. Really, yeah.
Yeah.
So from my neck and so it's. I think, how can that be? How can I be lovable? I've always have had trouble in my relationships with receiving love. So I give, but I have issues with receiving. So
thank you. Yeah, and just allowing yourself to be gentle with yourself and your head and your neck, right? And I'm just going to ask you, is there somebody in group who you feel relatively safe enough with? Like, who do you feel safe-ish with in group as you look around? Does anybody seem safe-ish to you? Who feels safe-ish to you as you look around?
Taylor.
Taylor. Okay. Yeah. So
and you?
And me. Okay, great. Yeah, I'm available for sure. So I'm just going to invite you to say to Taylor, I sometimes have a hard time receiving love. Taylor. Yeah.
Okay, Taylor. I sometimes have a hard time receiving love.
Yeah, nice breath. And feel, see Taylor receiving you, see Azuro's heart, right? So just notice that, like Taylor seemed to hear you. You sometimes have a hard time receiving love. Yeah. And just sense, what that's like. What was that like? I noticed you took a deep breath afterwards. Yeah. What was that like for you? Kind of.
Scary.
Yeah. So maybe if you can you say, Taylor, I'm scared.
Taylor, I'm scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have your hand on your chest. Yeah. So So just let's see if you can let yourself feel that. You're scared. Taylor, I'm scared. Right. Yeah.
I'm really scared.
Yeah. Okay. Right. And just, and what's it like? I saw Taylor nod her head in a friendly way towards you. Right. My story is that Taylor's really right here with you in your fear. Like your Taylor's there. And you see Taylor put her hand on her chest? Right, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, so you're scared and Taylor is with you, right? Can you feel a little bit of her with you? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So let's just pause for a moment. Great. And I'm just going to check in if it's okay with you, Taylor. Thank you so much for being. What was it like for you to hear Lila share that? What did you feel inside? Yeah. Yeah, and you can type it or whatever. Yeah. Vulnerable and open. Yeah. So you felt vulnerable and open. Yeah. So you appreciated maybe her vulnerability and openness. And did you feel vulnerable and open also? Or, yeah, so you felt open, right? And you felt your own vulnerability too. Yeah, great. Okay. So, and just want to check in, Lila. And I don't know if it's shifted, maybe it did or maybe it didn't. Like, what's your sensation in your body like now? Yeah. Is it the same? Is it shifted? It doesn't have to shift.
It's shifting slowly.
It's shifting. And what was that last word?
Yeah, it's slowly.
Slowly, yeah.
Yeah.
Slowly. Okay, wonderful. Okay, great. Yeah. So that's a little bit of kind of, and thank you for being such a beautiful kind of demonstration, right? Of okay. Yeah, it's scary. And maybe it's scary because it hasn't been safe, right, before, right? Right. You know, it's not safe to receive love, right? And it's scary. And at least to me, it felt like you walk right up to the edge of that, right? You know, we don't need to make you receive love. Sometimes that's too much, but even just naming what's true, right? Like it's scary and just standing in that fear, right? Is super, you know, and somebody's with you in that, right? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, nice breath. Nice breath. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. At least to my eye, I saw what seemed like care emerge from the group, right? Kind of vulnerability led to emergent care from the group, right? Yeah, I could see Azuro's hands and heart, right, present. Right? I know it might still feel confusing, right? There's like, what? This is weird. This is strange. This doesn't make sense. And you can kind of, you know, back off it anytime you want, right? Because this is the whole notion of titration, right? Sometimes we can't let in too much, right? But yeah, I see you kind of comforting yourself and letting in a little bit, right? And imagining that it might be so, okay? Yeah, maybe it might be so. Okay. So, yeah. So here's how connection could start to heal trauma, right? How it could start to be both terrifying, because it's a lot. It's like a lot to receive love, but it also might be what our deepest longing and desire is. Okay? Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Okay. Yeah. There's so what I'm thinking might be a neat thing to do is allow ourselves to explore these possibilities in I think maybe a small group. Yeah, yeah. So in just a moment, I'm going to give you kind of an invitation, and we'll have like little groups. But the prompt is to talk about a time when you felt deeply connected, right? So tell a time when you felt deeply connected with either another person or the world, right? What was a time when you felt deeply connected with yourself or the world? Okay, and yeah, so that's the invitation. So what? Yeah, and we'll just go for 5 minutes in small breakout rooms, so y'all can connect and be in a little bit of a private space. But I'm just kind of wanting you to get that evocation and connection and remembrance. So yeah, does that make sense? Okay, so we'll have a breakout room for 5 minutes and just talking about a time when you felt deeply connected in the world. And yeah, whenever you're ready, Azura, we'll take it away. Yeah. Good to see y'all. Yeah. So I see some smiles. Yeah. What was that like for you? What did you notice? What did you learn? Anything that wants to be spoken with the group? Yeah. And we have a new, Nuno's just joined us. Yeah, Lila. Yeah.
It is so beautiful to meet you guys. So in this festival. So we shared beautiful stories now in this room, and yeah, it's beautiful. So thank you.
Yeah, lovely. I'm glad you got a chance to share those stories and connect. Yeah. I think that's maybe the best part. I mean, I know that I'm great and all that, but there's the sweetness that emerges from each of you as you connect. Yeah. Okay. So my thinking is that, Chris, did you unmute yourself or no? I just saw. Okay. No.
Yeah,
okay. Okay. That's fine. Okay. So I'm thinking we're about at the halfway mark, right? And so my thought is maybe we'll take a quick 5-minute break. But my thinking in the second half of the curriculum is, so here's the idea, that intimacy sometimes requires being able to connect to myself, right? To being able to connect to another, and to be able to go back and forth between awareness of other and self, right? And do it in a way that honors our own boundaries and being, right? So we'll take a little break in a bit, but when we come back, we'll be doing some practice, right? Just in what's that like to be connected in myself, right? And then be with another person while being connected with myself, right? Be with another person while connecting with them, right? And then being able to shuttle back and forth between what's safe and what's not safe, right? And all of this is at choice, right? So this is just the invitation to explore your edge, okay? So we're going to take a break for 5 minutes and invite you to do whatever you need to do and come back in 5 minutes, and then we'll jump into some of those practices. All right. Okay. Yeah. See you in 5 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Into the space, and yeah, what a lovely little crew we have here. Yeah. Yeah, so just allowing yourself to slowly land back in the space and noticing how your body is, how you're feeling right now. This is part of intimacy, becoming connected with yourself. If you aren't connecting with yourself, it's hard to connect with another person. So just inviting yourself to feel your own body and being. What's it like to be you? And what parts of you are easiest to feel? Can you feel your heart? Is that accessible to you? Can you feel your belly? Welcome back, yeah. What parts of you can you connect with just as you? Can you feel the ground underneath you? What's it like to be you in your body? What's the feeling inside you? Can you feel the support of the earth underneath? Chair, if you're on a chair, and the ground beneath the chair. And having this awareness, just see how much of you can bring into your consciousness. There's a certain feeling of when you are connected with yourself. Just let yourself feel that deep connection. And just anchor in that, anchor in that. And in just a moment, we're going to shift gears, and the invitation is going to be to stay connected with this deep feeling of you with yourself. Right. But we're going to invite you to do this while you're with other people too. But the invitation is to just stay with you, right? So your attention is with you. Your attention is with you, even while there are other people around. Right? Your attention is with you. Your connection is with you. So just maybe even mentally preparing yourself for that exercise. You're going to be eventually, in a little while, put into a room with another person, right? Or maybe other people. And the invitation is to just stay with you, right? And your eyes can be open, they can be closed. You get to choose. You don't have to do anything for the other person. The responsibility is to just be with you, in connection with all the sensations that arise inside you, just like they are now, but this time you're in a space with another person, but your only job is to attend to you and what you need. You can open your eyes, you can close your eyes, you can do whatever you want, right? But you're there with another person, okay? And so you can just imagine what that might be like and allowing yourself to prepare for that. And we'll do that for 5 minutes, and then and we'll talk about that experience, okay? So I'm gonna invite you, if you want, you can come back into the room, but we're gonna actually put you pretty straight away into breakout rooms, okay? So so just prepare for that. We're gonna invite you to breakout rooms, and we're gonna go ahead and open the rooms, and you can go ahead and join the rooms. Yeah. All right, so welcome back. And we're just coming back from break, letting people slowly filter in. And we're about to start a couple of exercises, and I'll just talk you through the first one. But this exercise is really about connecting just with yourself, right? Just sensing into you and what it's like to be you, right? So as you come back from break, the invitation is just to allow yourself to drop into you, to feel your own body, your own being, your own breath. And if you want, your eyes can be closed, or if they're open, just with a soft gaze. But you get to experience the luxurious moment of just listening to you, giving yourself that gift of your own attention. What's it like to feel on the inside of you? What's it like to be you right now? Can you feel your breath as it enters you? Can you feel that nourishing you? Can you feel the ground underneath you? The chair that you're sitting on, the earth below, and just feel the support that it provides you. And just giving yourself permission to really get to know this feeling of you on the inside. This is something we don't do so much, giving ourselves our own care and attention. So you have explicit permission right now to do that, to give yourself all the love and care and attention in the world. Right now, your body, your being, your heart, your spirit, that's the most important thing. Just let yourself bask in that awareness, this this very special being that is you. And as you're here, I'm going to speak about this practice that we're about to do. It's just what you're doing right now, this attunement and attention to yourself, this attunement and attention to yourself. But in just a moment, we'll be putting you into a room with maybe another person or other people. But the invitation is to stay just with attention connected to you. You get to be just with you, even as you're in a room with another person or people. Okay? So you'll be in silence, but you get to be just focused on you, your body, your breath, the ground underneath you. You get to be completely attuned to your body and being, even as you're in a space with another person or people. Okay? Yeah. And so in just a moment, we're going to drop you into those rooms, and Azura will put you there. So, yeah, and the practice is just coming back to you. You get to just be with you. And this might be a new or different experience, or maybe it's familiar, but the invitation is just to experiment with you being with you. All right. And we'll go ahead and open the breakout rooms. And if you're watching this later, you can just practice this with a partner. You can pause the video and see what it might be like to just be with you. Just be with you when you're with another person. Okay. All right, the breakout rooms are open, and yeah, you're welcome to go ahead and join. Okay, and now we're going to welcome folks back. Welcoming you back, and you know, I think there might be things that people are reflecting upon. And if you're watching this in the recording later on at home, and you've done this with your partner, I'm going to invite you to share. What was that like for you? What was that like for you to just be with you when you're with another person? Was that new? Was that different? What'd you notice? What'd you learn? Did it feel good? Did it feel strange? It's not necessarily socially common for us to be with another person and just focus on ourselves. So share with your partner if you're watching this later on at home. What was that like? What was that like? And what was that like for you? And you can pause the recording here if you're at home watching this. Some of the conversation, I don't know if we'll include that in the live recording or not, but yeah, just take this opportunity, because the important thing is your reflection for you. Okay. And then the next part of the exercise, now, if you want, you can undo the pause. Well, I'm assuming that you're unpaused now. But the next exercise is going to be where, instead of just attending to you, you shuttle back and forth your attention from yourself. Oh, actually, no, that's the third one. Sorry, I got a little ahead of myself. No, there's the build-up. So the second exercise actually is instead of having your attention on you, you have your attention just on the other person. Right? So in this case, your attention is outward. Right? So you're noticing the other person, hopefully with just soft eyes, just with an attitude of acceptance and awareness. But this is like in the first exercise, we're just attending to ourselves. And in this next exercise, this next part, we're actually attending, hopefully with kindness and care, to the other person. So letting your attention be outward towards them and feeling what it's like to allow your attention and awareness to be outward. Right? And you can even just practice now as you're listening to me what it's like to let your attention to be with me. Or kind of if you're looking at other people in the room, what is it like for your attunement and attention to be with them? And in this exercise, you are at choice, right? If it feels like too much to have your attention outward, you can always come back, but at least the invitation is to explore what this edge is like for you, right? So we're gonna try this again in the breakout rooms, 5 minutes, and then we'll come back, okay? So 5 minutes in the breakout rooms with your attunement and attention towards other people or the other person in the room, or if you're watching this in the video recording, finding a partner and just exploring what it's like to let your attention be just with the other person. Attention just with the other person for the next 5 minutes. Right? And we'll come back and we'll talk about that. Okay? So opening the breakout rooms, letting yourselves pop into the breakout rooms, and then we'll come back and connect. So see you in a little bit. Okay, so welcome back, and if you're watching from home, there'll be maybe a little discussion that's had here in the groups, and my guess is that as you discuss that with your partner, you might feel different things, right? You might feel deep connection already, like how lovely it is, right? Or there might be stories that arise inside you, or edges, right? Sometimes it's actually a little bit uncomfortable to have your attention out for so long, right? So actually the third exercise that we do kind of speaks to that, right? So there's this exercise of allowing your attention this time to be a little bit different, right? But allowing yourself just to maybe journal or write or talk with your partner that you were just with about that exercise. And then when you feel ready, we're going to do this third exercise, which is about allowing your attention to shuttle back and forth, right? So you get to listen to you, right? How you feel in the moment. And then you get to, in your own rhythm and time, explore what it's like to have your attention outward towards the other person. So, and it's really learning to listen to your own rhythm of where you want your attention to be. Inward, when it wants to be inward. Outward, when you feel ready to take somebody else in. And then back, inward and outward, inward it's kind of a combination of those first two exercises. What's it like to let your attention float according to your own heart's desire? Where do you want to be? And you get to do this. And this is, the invitation is to silence, to do this in silence, and to do this with a real honoring of what nourishes you, what feeds your heart and soul, right? Really giving yourself permission to attend to that. Where does my attention want to be? Inward. You get to do that here. I feel filled enough with my own nourished ground. Maybe I can peek my way out and look and take another person in and do it in that kind of, as much as you want. As much as you want. And as much as feels good, and drink that in. And then when you want, you can just come back inward and inside, just shuttling back and forth between what's inside and what's outside. Knowing that this is the dance of relationship. This is the dance of life. And this is how we come up towards those edges of what's scary, and then let ourselves come back home inside ourselves, right? That this is relationship, all in this one little box. This is connection, right? This is in these moments, right? We are opening to connection, feeling it, letting ourselves take in what we can, and maybe letting ourselves be made whole. Shuttling back and forth between our own inner self and connection with the other. Maybe in this small way, weaving ourselves whole. Okay. So that's the invitation. And we'll open the breakout rooms again, or if you're watching from home in your own time, just finding a partner and practicing this subtle but very profound exercise. Okay. So breakout rooms open. The invitation to work with a partner is open, and we'll see you on the other side. Okay. All right. Back from that, the invitation, if you're watching from home, is just to talk about that with your partner. What was that like for you? What did you learn about relationship and connection? Maybe the person that you practiced with is a stranger. Maybe it's somebody you met meeting for the first time. What emerged? Do you feel more connected? Do you feel more whole? If you practiced with somebody who you know or are familiar with, did you learn anything about your relationship, about how you are in relationship, about how you show up? Do you give yourself permission to be with yourself? Is it scary to be with another person? What did you learn? So just let yourself talk about that, and maybe journal about it and connect. And you know, I'll just leave y'all with this last thought, connecting all the dots about intimacy and connection and trauma. This is a quote from Alanis Morissette, great singer, songwriter, but also somebody who understands the world of trauma quite well. And let me see if I can pull this up for you. So here's the quote, and I really like it. So just take a moment and just absorb this and take it in. But the quote is, "Trauma arises in relationship. Trauma arises in relationship. So it can only be healed in relationship. Right? Trauma arises in relationship, so it can only be healed in relationship. Yeah, just take a moment and allow yourself to breathe that in. And what you've done today, if you've followed along in these practices, is you've explored relationship, you've explored what it's like to connect, what it's like to be in relationship, maybe be with someone who's hopefully relatively present, relatively thoughtful, relatively kind. Yeah. And that maybe in this experience of being with another person, in connection, in relationship, that maybe something might be a little bit more healed, a little bit more whole made, that you might be made a little bit more whole. Maybe more permission just to be with you, or more permission to be with another in the way and time of your own choosing, or be with somebody who seems friendly or kind, who sees you and supports you and loves you, cares about you, right? And in this way, maybe relationship can be that thing that maybe we long for, that's a little bit scary, but which heals us too. Maybe relationship can be part of what brings us home, brings us back from the edge of the trauma that we might have known, back into ourselves, into connection with ourselves and each other. So wherever you are, whenever you are, it's been a pleasure and a delight to spend this time with you, whether virtually or in sync. So blessings and be well, and know that the good work that you do matters, that we all need each other in this process of evolving into who we are meant to be. So thank you for your depth of work, your care, and your willingness to open up to another human being and just connect. Yeah. Wow. So I see different kind of smiles or inwards, and yeah. So what was that like for folks? What was that like to be with another person with the invitation of you get to be with yourself, or with another person, or with yourself? What was that like for you? Anything arose? See some smiles. It's like, yeah, there's some, yeah, Lila.
I just had to say it was beautiful. It was a beautiful experience, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I can see the person who you're in the room with light up as you say that. Yeah, it's interesting. It's almost like I can tell who was in which room, because like there's almost a connectedness even after, at least from what I'm seeing, right? But it was a beautiful thing. Yeah. Sahil, did you want to say something?
Yeah,
I saw you
it was
unmute.
like yeah, it was like an amazing experience being so far, but I felt so near to over there. I felt like I'm in same room with her, and we are just for the shifting of the focus from inward to outward. The whole distance melt away. It was like really good. Thank you.
Yeah, how lovely. Yeah, kind of like the distance melts away, right? That kind of connection, like kind of doesn't matter how far away, kind of. Yeah.
And we don't know each other, but it's a connection there. So
Yeah.
beyond words and space and everything. So it's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So just feel that, like, yeah, connection beyond words. Amazing. Yeah. Just notice the feeling inside your body, kind of each of you with that connection. Yeah. And maybe there's some healing in that. Yeah, that's happening. Yeah, beautiful. People aren't so scary, or people could be kind, or maybe I could receive care and connection and love. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. Chris, I saw you unmute yourself. Did you want to say something? Sure. Yeah.
I feel like it's also a bit more challenging because suddenly there's a choice. Do I focus my attention on myself or the other person? And it's not yet obvious anymore what to focus attention on. And it also showed a bit like how choice actually is a burden a bit. Like in this world nowadays, we have so many choices. And if it's clear that just one thing to focus on, then it can be so relaxing. And the more choice there is, the more stress there can also be in a way.
Yeah, so I'll just invite you to try on the sentence. Sometimes when I am asked to choose, I feel a little bit anxious or stressed because I don't know what the right thing is. Does that feel true? I see you nodding your head. Yeah. Yeah, it's a little stressful sometimes to have to choose. Yeah. And just notice, yeah, kind of that we can be with you. I see some folks see you and nod. Yeah, that can be stressful to be forced to choose. And so notice that, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, Suvi, please.
Yeah. I just didn't realize I already unmuted myself. I also really like enjoyed that all the 3 times where I did like in the same breakout room, so that made it like a differ. And it was funny to notice that all the 3 times I noticed after a couple of minutes or so, some like laughter bubbling inside and coming up every single time it came after a couple of minutes. But also then like again going to the stories like how the laughter is interpreted, but it was funny to notice like, oh, here is it again. So that was really enjoyable the whole time.
Fascinating, right? Like there's something about like, yeah, just being with somebody, settling into that moment of connection, and then it's like something starts to bubble up and we don't even know why it's there or how it's there. But my story is that there's something that's life that's trying to come through, or something. Yeah, sometimes when we get in contact with another person, it's like, this tickles, but it feels good, but I don't understand it, and it just happens, and oh my God. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Thank you. Welcome, Lakshmi. Yeah. Anybody else want to share? I saw some big smiles. Like, I don't know, Nuna or Maria, if you want to. Yeah.
Yes, I'd like to share.
Yeah.
For me, it was a beautiful experience. At the beginning, I mean, it was like a process. At the beginning, we started and we both closed our eyes. So we had this need to connect to ourselves. And slowly we start opening up and also smiling to each other. So that was beautiful, actually, to see how this connection was going deeper and deeper. And also for me, the choice to be able to focus my attention within me or outwards, it's important because at some point when I look to the other person, I also want to reconnect that what do I feel, where I am now. So it's very important to kind of withdraw my attention back and then see, because then when I look at him again, I was able to focus with much more intensity. I'm from a different place. So yeah, thank you.
Beautiful. Yeah. So many of us have not been given permission, right, to kind of come back to ourselves, right? Like we've been forced, I have to have my attention on you. It's how I stay safe. But yeah, but then when we were allowed to, like, come in, be in just with me, and out in this slowly developing way, right? And then come back in. Yeah, how beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. Nuno, I know you unmuted yourself. Yeah.
Yes, it's okay. Well, I felt also a bit that with this kind of experience, I noticed that sometimes, like to look inwards and then outwards, then that in relationships, sometimes if you don't connect with yourself, you're never connected with the other person as well. You are in the middle and you're never well connected. So I think that's in these 5 minutes, it was powerful to understand that if you come a bit to yourself first, then you are really there in the moment, and you can be much more connected to the other person as well.
Absolutely.
And sometimes we lost so many time being in the middle, not with that person and not with us. And if we do this for 2, 3, 4 minutes, everything can change.
Yeah, beautiful. Right. I love that. If you do just this, for 2 or 3 minutes, and it's just short. It was just like a 5-minute exercise, right?
Exactly.
So much can change, right? Just with doing this. So the invitation is, just to take this with you, right? Just these little basic kind of practices and exercises where you kind of tune into yourself, tune into the other, tune into yourself, right? And the idea here, it feels really subtle, but the idea is that as we kind of connect to ourselves and connect to the other, sometimes the things that were terrifying or scary, like, we're in control this time. We get to listen to what feels good for us, right? We get to listen to where we want our attention to be, right? And in that, maybe a little bit of healing happens, right? There's, there's this notion that if we allow ourselves to just honestly listen to what's true inside us, right? As we're with another person, whatever needs to happen will happen, right? If I need more self-attention, okay, let me come back to myself. If laughter wants to come out, let me allow that. So, yeah, it's really, really beautiful. So, we're coming basically to the close of this session. It's nice to see your face, Lakshmi. It's kind of, welcome. There's one last saying that I love to share from Alanis Morissette. Actually, he's both a singer, but also somebody with a really, really deep understanding of trauma. And Alanis Morissette has said, well, let's see if I can pull this up for you. Let's see. Well, I'll just share it. Okay. So, yeah. So trauma arises in relationship. Trauma arises in relationship. So it can only be healed in relationship. So let's just be with that for a moment. Trauma arises in relationship. Yeah. Trauma arises in relationship. And you can just think or imagine about the truth of that for you. And so it can only be healed in relationship. Yeah. This is Alanis Morissette. Yeah. Okay. Alanis Morissette. And so as we come to a close and think of our time together, my hope is that you've gotten a little bit of a taste of relationship that can be healing, right? That these experiences that you've had in these little breakout rooms of you get to be with yourself, right? And that's okay. Or you can be with another and that's okay. Or you get to choose where you want to be and that's okay. Yeah. And that maybe in those choices, some of the trauma that happens in relationship maybe gets healed in relationship too. Maybe this time in these relationships, there's something new that can emerge, right? a kind face, smiles of people who see you, shared connection and community, right? So, okay. So as we come to a close, I'm just going to invite us to notice ourselves and each other, honoring ourselves, giving ourselves permission to honor our individual self body and the body of those around us, our self body and the body of those around us. And in any which way you want, if you want, placing a hand on your heart, but just giving thanks for whatever lessons or messages or learnings you've received from this time. Yeah. And just feeling that and honoring it and taking it with you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for your full presence and your embodiment and your care and your vulnerability and for being with and for healing. And this is so important for all of us. So it's important for our evolution and who we are becoming. So thank you so much for spending the time, and blessings to you, and carry on. Okay.